Kyle was not ready for space travel, but he had no choice. Earth had joined the Galactic Alliance, and he was one of the few young engineers selected to represent humanity. His mission was simple: fix a broken energy core on a small medical space station called Aris-9. But nothing went as planned. His shuttle had some sort of power issue. Alarms screamed and lights flashed. Before he could understand what was happening, the shuttle shook hard. Kyle hit his head and blacked out. When he woke up, the ceiling was strange. It was smooth and silver, not like anything on Earth. The air smelled clean, too clean. He tried to sit up, but felt pain in his shoulder. He looked around. Bright lights, soft walls, and odd machines surrounded him. He realized he was in a medical room. A hospital bed held him, and tubes ran from his arm to a clear bag of liquid. Standing at the foot of the bed was a tall figure with smooth blue skin and bright green eyes. It was a nurse, an alien nurse. She wore a white uniform with glowing lines running down the sleeves. Her eyes stared at him without blinking. Kyle froze, unsure what to say. He wanted to ask where he was, but his mouth felt dry. The nurse said something in a soft voice. Her language was not English, but after a few seconds, a small device on her collar translated it. "You are safe. Do not move too quickly." Kyle nodded slowly. He was alive. He was in one piece. And somehow, he was on a space station. A few minutes, the nurse checked his vitals. She was silent, moving smoothly from one machine to the next. Kyle watched her carefully. She looked humanoid, but clearly not human. Her fingers were long, and her face had strange patterns under the eyes. He smiled, trying to be friendly. She did not smile back. She just stared at him, her green eyes locked onto his face. That stare lasted too long. Kyle felt awkward. He had no idea what the stare meant in her culture. Was she angry? Curious? Offended? On Earth, people didn't just stare without saying something. He had to do something to break the silence. So he did the first thing that came to his mind. He blew her a kiss. It was meant as a joke. Something silly to lighten the mood. But the moment he did it, the entire room seemed to freeze. The nurse stopped moving. The other aliens in the room turned to look at him. No one said a word. He slowly lowered his hand, feeling embarrassed. Maybe it was a bad idea. The nurse blinked once, then she walked away without saying anything. Kyle let out a breath. He looked around the room, hoping for some clue about what had just happened. Two alien doctors whispered to each other, glancing at him. A machine beeped twice, and then silence returned. He laid back and stared at the ceiling. What did that kiss mean to them? Was it an insult? A threat? A greeting? He closed his eyes and groaned. This was not how he imagined his first alien meeting would go. The next day, the same nurse returned. She stood by the bed again, holding a small tray with food. "You need strength," the translator said. Kyle sat up. "Thanks," he said. She placed the tray on the table beside him. This time, she did not stare. But before leaving, she glanced back at him. Just a quick look. Her face was hard to read. Kyle picked up the strange food. It smelled like something between fruit and metal. He took a bite and tried not to make a face. So far, life on a space station was confusing. He was the only human here. No one explained much to him. And now, he was the man who blew a kiss to an alien nurse. He wondered if Earth would ever hear about it. He hoped not. But deep inside, he also felt curious. That nurse, with her unreadable eyes and quiet voice, had not forgotten. Kyle woke up to a soft humming sound. The room was quiet, except for a small light blinking on the wall. He looked around and saw the same nurse from before standing near the door. Her name tag showed her name in alien symbols, but the translator said her name was Velari. Velari stood still for a moment. Wait. Her green eyes studied him again. But this time, she did not stare for long. She walked over to the bed and placed a device near his chest. "Your bones are healing. You may walk with help," the translator said. Kyle sat up slowly. His arms still felt weak, but he was glad to be moving again. He looked at Velari and smiled. "No." She said nothing, but handed him a metal cane and motioned toward the door. Together, they walked down a clean hallway. The station looked more like a quiet city than a hospital. Aliens of many kinds passed by, some floating, some walking, Everyone seemed busy as they moved. Some aliens looked at Kyle and whispered to each other. He noticed it but tried to ignore it. "Why are they looking at me?" he asked. Velari paused for a second. "Your gesture is known now. It was not expected." Kyle laughed a little. "You mean the kiss?" "Yes, it was not known to us. It caused ... questions." He rubbed the back of his neck. "It was just a joke. On Earth, it's a silly way to say hello or thank you, not serious." Velari nodded slowly. "Our people do not kiss. It has no meaning here, but now they think you are ... different." They reached a small garden area inside the station. Strange flowers glowed gently, and a water stream flowed through the middle. Velari motioned for him to sit on a bench. She sat beside him, keeping a little space between them. "Where are you from?" she asked. "A place called Chicago. On Earth it has big buildings, lots of noise, and people who never stop talking." Velari tilted her head. "It sounds like our trade city on Jenner." Kyle smiled. "Maybe cities are the same everywhere." They sat in silence for a bit. The garden was peaceful. Kyle looked at the stars through the clear ceiling. It was still hard to believe he was in space. "Do all humans make strange signs with their mouths?" Velari asked. Kyle laughed. "Some do, some don't. We use our faces a lot. Smiles, frowns, kisses, winks. It's how we talk when words are not enough. It is hard to understand. We use light and color. Our emotions change our skin." Kyle looked at her face. "So when you're happy, your skin changes?" "Yes, but only with close ones, not in public. And I really surprised you." "Yes, but I was not upset. Just confused." They talked more about their worlds. Kyle told her about Earth food, about pets, and about music. Velari told him about her home planet, where people sang to grow plants, and where cities floated on oceans. As they spoke, more aliens walked by the garden. Some stopped to watch. Few even smiled, or whatever counted as a smile for them. Kyle noticed them and looked at Velari. "Are we not supposed to talk like this?" Velari looked down. "It is not forbidden, but it is strange. Do you mind it?" he asked. She looked at him. "No, I do not mind." Kyle leaned back on the bench and stretched his legs. "Good, because I think it's nice." Velari said nothing but stayed on the bench. After a while, she stood up. "You must rest now. I will bring you back." Kyle followed her through the halls again. More whispers followed. A group of alien workers nodded to him. One even said, "Kiss human." He smiled and waved. He was becoming known, even if for a strange reason. Back in his room, Velari helped him into bed. She checked his arm, adjusted the covers, then stood quietly. Before leaving, she looked at him again. This time, her eyes looked softer, almost like she was thinking about something. "Good rest, Kyle," the translator said. He smiled. "Thanks, Velari. See you tomorrow." She gave a small nod, then left. Kyle closed his eyes and smiled. Maybe being the kiss human was not so bad after all. The next few days passed slowly for Kyle. Each morning, Velari came to check on him. She brought strange food, asked short questions, and watched his progress. Kyle began walking without help, though he still felt weak. He liked talking to Velari. She did not speak much, but she listened well. She always gave quiet attention, like his words mattered. Kyle shared stories about life on Earth, about small things like family dinners, loud streets, and his favorite songs. One day he played a song on a small device from his bag. Velari tilted her head as she listened. The tune was soft and full of feeling. When it ended, she asked him to play it again. "Our music is not like this," she said. "Ours uses light. But this sound, ... it touches something inside." Kyle smiled. "That's the power of music. It can speak without words." Later that day, Velari showed him something from her world. She held a small round object, and when she touched it, it glowed with colors. The light moved like waves, changing with her thoughts. Kyle watched in silence. "It was beautiful. This is how we sang," she said. With color and motion, Kyle reached out slowly. "May I?" She handed it to him. When he touched it, the glow stopped. The object turned dark. "It listens to our thoughts." "Yours are not like mine," she said. He gave it back, a little sad. "Guess it doesn't like humans." "No," she said, "it just does not know you yet." The next day, Kyle walked into the garden alone. He wanted fresh air and quiet. But he was not alone for long. A group of alien workers stood nearby, whispering. One of them came forward. "You're the Kiss human," it said. Its voice was flat but not rude. Kyle laughed. "Yes, I guess I am. Why did you do that? Was it a challenge?" "No," Kyle said. "On Earth, it's a way to show kindness, not to fight." The alien nodded. "Strange, but not wrong. Some here find it. ... Brave." Kyle thanked him, and the group moved on, sat down, thinking about how fast things had changed. One kiss had made him known across the station. Velari found him in the garden later. She sat beside him without a word. He looked at her. "Did I cause trouble for you?" "Some ask questions. Some do not understand. But I do not feel trouble." "Good, I didn't mean to start anything." "You started curiosity," she said. "That is not bad." They sat together for a long time. No words, just silence, and the soft sound of water nearby. One night, a soft light blinked in Kyle's room. A message appeared on the wall. He was invited to a station meeting. He had no idea why. The next morning, he followed 2 guards to a round room. High above, alien leaders sat behind glass. Lights floated in the air. A voice spoke through the wall. "Human Kyle, you have brought new behavior to our station." Kyle stood still. "Yes, but I didn't mean harm." "No harm, but many questions." "You connect with Nurse Velari. You speak of Earth ways." "Yes, we talk. We learn from each other. We have never seen such fast trust between kinds." Kyle looked up. "Maybe it's because we try. We are not the same, but we can still be friends." The room was quiet for a long time. Then the voice said, "We will watch more. Continue your work. Continue your talks." After the meeting, Velari met him outside. "You were brave," she said. "I was nervous. Did I say the wrong thing?" "No, you said something true." From that day, more aliens began speaking to Kyle. They asked about Earth, about its people, and their ways. He told stories of laughter, family, and hope. Velari stayed close, always watching, always learning. One evening, as they looked out a wide window at a far moon, Kyle said, "Do you think we are really that different?" Velari thought for a moment. Different shapes, different ways, but inside, maybe not so different. Kyle nodded. He looked at her and smiled. "Do your people ever smile like this?" "No, but I understand it now." They stood in silence, not strangers, not yet close. But something was growing between them, something that no one could stop now. Kyle was feeling stronger every day. He now walked without help and spent most of his time outside the medical room. The station had many places to explore. Long silver halls, gardens with soft lights, and rooms filled with strange machines. But his favorite place was still the garden, where he often sat with Velari. They now spoke more freely. Velari asked questions about Earth, about human dreams and fears. Kyle asked about her people, about their old stories and how they lived. The bond between them was growing. One morning, the soft lights in the hall turned red. Loud beeps echoed through the station. Kyle looked around. Aliens rushed through the halls. Their faces showed worry. He stopped a worker. "What is going on?" "Sickness has spread." "Fast and strange," the alien replied. Kyle's heart sank. He hurried to the medical area. The halls were full of noise and running feet. When he reached the entrance, guards blocked his way. "You cannot enter. It is not safe," one said. "My friend is inside," Kyle said. The guard did not move. "The orders are clear." Kyle stepped back. He looked through the glass window. Inside, he saw Velari. She moved quickly, helping others. Skin glowed a dull green. She was tired, but focused. A doctor came out wearing a suit. Kyle stopped him. "What is the sickness? Can I help?" "We do not know. It is not like other things. Spreads in air, but not to all kinds. Some are safe, some fall quickly." "Are humans safe?" "Maybe." "So far, no humans are sick. But we must not risk more." Kyle nodded. He stepped away, but his mind was racing. He went back to his room, pulled out his small bag, and looked through his things. He found a small medical kit he had brought from Earth. The tools were simple, but maybe useful. He also had some old data from human disease research. He uploaded it to the station system, hoping it might help. For 2 days, the red light stayed on. The number of sick aliens grew. Kyle asked for updates often. Velari was still working. She refused to rest. On the third day, the news came. Velari had been exposed. She had started to show signs of the sickness. Kyle felt cold. He rushed back to the medical room, but the guards stopped him again. He begged to be let in. Senior doctor came and looked at him. Your body might be safe. Your blood might hold answers. Do you agree to help? Yes. Anything, Kyle said at once. He was taken into a clean room. They drew his blood and mixed it with samples from the sick. Some strange reaction happened. The virus slowed down. Not a cure, but a step forward. Kyle looked at the screen. Use it. Help her. We will. You may enter now, but with care. Inside the sick area, the air was heavy, lying on a bed. Her skin had lost its color. She looked weak, but still opened her eyes when she saw him. You came, she said through the translator. Of course I came. Would never leave you. He held her hand. It felt cold. They are using my blood to help. It might work. Just hold on. Velari gave a small nod. You are not like others. Neither are you. He stayed beside her all night. He told stories, played songs, and tried to make her smile. Doctors worked in the background, testing the new mixture. By morning, her skin showed a hint of green again. Her breathing was easier. The doctor came and gave a small smile. She is strong. She is fighting. Kyle looked at Velari. You're not done yet. We still have many things to talk about. Velari gave the smallest smile he had ever seen. Outside, the red lights turned yellow, a sign of slow hope, sign that maybe the sickness was losing. And Kyle, the human who once blew a kiss, had become more than just a visitor. He'd become part of their story. The sickness continued to spread, but now there was a small light of hope. Kyle's blood had slowed the virus in some of the patients. The doctors worked day and night, using his blood to create a mix that could fight the sickness. Velari was still weak, but she was stable. Her skin had some color again, and her eyes were open more often. Kyle stayed by her side, only leaving when the doctors asked him to rest or eat. Even then, he stayed close. One day, while Kyle sat beside her bed, she looked at him with tired eyes. Why did you come into the danger? She asked. Because I care, Kyle said. You helped me when I was weak. You listened to me when I felt alone. I couldn't walk away. Velari gave a small nod. Her voice was low. I have never seen a human before. I thought your kind was loud and strange. But you are not what I expected. That's a good thing. Kyle smiled. And you're not what I expected either. You're stronger than anyone I know. She closed her eyes again, resting. Kyle watched her sleep, then looked at the machines nearby. Numbers blinked. Lights moved. He hoped they meant something good. In the other part of the station, the lab had made a breakthrough. The mix of Kyle's human cells with Velari's alien blood had created a new reaction. It began to kill the virus in tests. The scientists were shocked. One of the doctors came to Kyle. We may have found a cure. You're trying it now. Your blood and hers made something new. It only works together. Kyle stood up. What does that mean? It means that your kinds are more connected than we knew. You are different, but not too different to help each other. The cure was given to the sickest patients first. One by one, they began to improve. The red lights on the station turned to soft yellow, then finally to green. Velari was one of the last to receive the full cure. Her body had already started fighting, but the new mix gave her more strength. After 2 days, she sat up fully for the first time. Kyle was there, smiling wide. You're awake. You're really back. She looked at him and nodded. Yes. I feel like myself again. He laughed with joy. You scared me? Don't do that again. I will try not to. News of the cure spread fast. Across the station, aliens spoke the names Kyle and Velari. Some called them the pair who saved everyone. Others called them the bond of hope. The station leader asked to see them. Kyle and Velari walked into the large hall together. The leader stood in front of many others, his voice strong. Today we thank 2 brave souls, a human and an alien. They gave not just blood, but trust. Together, they made a cure when nothing else worked. Applause echoed through the hall. Kyle looked at Velari. She gave him a proud look. After the ceremony, they returned to the garden. It was peaceful again. Flowers glowed in soft colors. The stream flowed gently. You are not just a visitor now, Velari said. You are part of us. "And you're part of my story too," Kyle replied. They sat together in silence, letting the moment last. Later that night, Kyle stood at the window in his room. He looked out at the stars. So many worlds, so many lives. Never thought a simple mission would lead to all this. A new bond, a new understanding. He thought back to the first time he saw Velari, her long stare, the awkward kiss, how strange it had felt. Now it felt like the beginning of something big. Not just for him, not just for Velari, but for humans and aliens everywhere. And it had all started with a moment of kindness, in the middle of silence, on a space station far from Earth. The sickness was ending, but something new was beginning, something better. The station returned to normal, but things did not feel the same. People smiled more. Aliens who once walked past each other now shared greetings. Kyle noticed that even the quiet halls had more life in them. The danger was gone, and in its place, something new had grown. Kyle and Velari were now known by everyone on the station. Wherever they went, someone would stop them to say thank you or ask a question about Earth or Jinner. Kyle never thought he would become something important in space, but it had happened. One day, the station leader called for a special meeting. Kyle and Velari were invited. The room was large, with many beings from different parts of the Alliance. The leader stood in front and looked around the room. "We have learned something great in these past days," he said. "Two lives joined to save many. Their story has reached other stations. Even the council has listened." The leader turned to Kyle. "Earth has long waited for full place in the Alliance. Some feared your kind was not ready. But you showed us that hearts can speak louder than weapons." Then he looked at Velari. "You broke old rules to follow what you felt was right. That takes true strength." The leader raised his hand. "I speak now for the High Council. Earth will be offered full membership. What if you will be part of the Unity Circle, helping others understand what it means to trust?" Applause filled the room. Kyle was speechless. Velari placed her hand lightly on his arm. Later in the garden, Kyle sat with her under the soft lights. "Did you ever think it would go this far?" he asked. "No," she said, "but I am glad it did. You think this will last? The peace? The change? If we keep trying? If others see what we did and follow?" "Then yes." Kyle nodded. "Then we have work to do." The next weeks were busy. Kyle was given a new room, closer to the council area. He started learning about the cultures of other worlds. Velari joined him, often leading the talks about how emotions and trust can shape choices. They were not always welcome. Some beings still feared humans. Others thought their story was too strange, but many listened. And slowly walls started to fall. One morning, a group of young aliens asked for a tour. Kyle and Velari showed them the garden, the music rooms, and even the medical wing. The young ones asked about the sickness, the cure, and the story of the kiss. "Did it really start like that?" one asked. Kyle smiled. "Yes. I blew her a kiss, and everything changed." The young ones laughed. Velari said, "A small thing can start a big wave." News of their talks reached other planets. Kyle was invited to speak on a world made of glass towers and wide sky bridges. Velari went with him. It was the first time she left the station in years. She was quiet during the trip, but her eyes held calm. At the event, Kyle spoke about the fear he had when he first woke up on Eris-9. How a simple mistake had become a bridge between two kinds. How learning each other's ways had saved lives. Velari spoke too. She told him how hard it was to trust a human. How strange it felt to be close to someone so different. But she also said that truth and care had no shape or color. People stood and clapped. Not just for them, but for what they stood for. Back on the station, the garden was still their favorite place. They often sat there in the evening, talking less, thinking more. "We are not just a nurse and a patient now," Kyle said. "No," Velari replied. "We are more. We are a message." He smiled. "I like that." Above them, the stars blinked. A station floated between worlds. And the bond between a human and an alien grew stronger. It's not through force or power, but through kindness, choice, and time. The kiss that had once confused many had become a symbol, not of love alone, but of something even greater. Hope. A new season had come to the space station. It was not like Earth with warm air or falling leaves, but something had changed. The lights felt softer, the air calmer. Life had found a new rhythm. Kyle walked through the hall, nodding at workers and visitors. Some were from far-off planets, others from Earth. He had become a face many knew. Some called him a hero, did not think of himself that way. He thought of himself as someone who made a choice. Velari met him at the entrance of the transport bay. Today they were leaving again. Another planet, another talk, another group of beings to meet. Their message had reached many, but there were still places where fear lived. They boarded a small craft. It lifted smoothly into the stars. Kyle looked out the window. "Do you miss your home?" Velari asked. He thought for a moment. "Sometimes. I miss the noise, the wind, and the smell of food in the streets. But this feels like home now too." She nodded. "I have never left my planet before all this. Now I have seen many skies, and we still have more to see." The ship landed on a green planet with blue mountains. The sky was wide and full of soft light. A crowd waited near a tall building. Many held small lights in their hands, a local way of saying welcome. Kyle and Velari stepped forward together. They were taken to a hall filled with many beings. Some looked curious, some unsure. Kyle began to speak. He told them about fear and how it can block understanding. He told them about the day he woke up on the station, scared and lost, and how one long stare had started a journey. He spoke about the sickness, the shared cure, and the lessons learned. Velari spoke after him. She used few words, but strong ones. She said, "We are not the same, but we are not enemies. If we listen, we will hear. If we trust, we will grow." The room stayed silent for a moment, then the lights in the crowd blinked slowly. It was a sign of agreement. One by one, beings stood and nodded. Later, in a quiet room, Kyle and Velari sat near a small window. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't blown that kiss?" he asked. Velari gave a rare smile. "You would have still found a way? Your heart is loud. You understand human ways better than some humans," he laughed. "And you understand more than most aliens," she said. They returned to the station 2 days later. The garden greeted them with soft lights. Kyle sat on the bench, looking at the stars. Velari sat beside him. For a while they said nothing. Then she spoke. "I think I understand the kiss now. It is not about lips. It is about opening the door." Kyle turned to her. "Exactly. A way to say, 'I'm here. I mean no harm. I want to connect.'" She looked at him with calm eyes. "Then I will try it." She raised her hand slowly and blew him a kiss. Kyle smiled, deeply moved. He didn't laugh or speak. He just held that moment. Around them, the garden lights seemed brighter. Time passed. More humans came to the station. More aliens visited Earth. Stories were shared. Barriers lowered. Kyle and Velari continued their work not for fame, but because it mattered. One day, a small alien child came up to Kyle. It pointed to Velari and said, "Is she your family?" Kyle looked at Velari, then back at the child. "Yes. Not by blood, but by heart." The child smiled and ran off. Velari stood beside him. "By heart," she repeated. "That is strong." The space station floated quietly between stars. Inside it, people who once feared each other now sat side by side. They worked, talked, and dreamed together. And it all started because one human in a strange place decided to share a little part of his world with an alien nurse who stared at him. A simple act, a powerful beginning. And the story continued with more hands reaching out, more doors opening, and more hearts learning to speak without fear.